Alright, today gonna do some comparisons between the Harbor Freight Chicago Electric Flux 125 welder, the newest version of their dirt cheap welder, and my Tweco Fabricator 141i 110 volt multi-process unit. It's actually been sold under several names. It's been sold under several names. Originally Thermal Arc, then Tweco, now ESAB. There's also one nearly identical to it, made by the same company, that's sold under the Firepower brand. You'll find those at some automotive stores. It's a great little welder. Anyway, we're going to compare that, which is a DC unit, against the Harbor Freight one, which is an AC unit. See what kind of a difference that makes. We're going to be welding on 1/8 inch fillet welds. So yeah, should be an interesting comparison there. I'm going to use the chart settings on both of them. You know, no interpretation, no hunting for the best. We're going to go by what the chart says. What is a novice welder going to do? You know, if they look at the chart, they take those settings, how does it do? Is it going to function well on what I consider to be, at least for me, my most common material type, which is 1/8 inch mild steel. That's what I build most of my projects out of, in some form or another, either square, 1/8 inch square, 1/8 inch angle, 1/8 inch plate, and thinner. I mean, I do go thinner, but that's for another day. Okay, I moved you over here because I needed to plug this into the charger while it runs. Battery's giving me fits. Alright, so I have got coupons here that I cut. I cleaned mill scale off of one edge and one side, not the other. My thought is that I'm going to test its ability to go through some mill scale. So I'm going to have one clean edge, see what it does, and then we'll run one with half the piece having mill scale and see how it does. And I'm going to do the same thing on my Tweco Fabricator with the exact same wire, the same roll, and everything. I'm going to move that into the Tweco and see how it does, and compare the two, how they run, what the welds look like, how much splatter there is, and if possible, I'm going to try and cut, polish, and etch both of them to look for penetration. Alright, so there's my coupons. One side completely cleaned off. The edge that's down under there is cleaned off. This side with quite a bit of mill scale remaining. Same on this one. The only mill scale that's off is what the wire brush took off when I was cleaning the flux crap off. This is 125. This is 141. Tweco. Alright, settings are the recommended by the chart. For 030 wire, which I'm running, max, and 8. See how well I do, because this could be a total disaster just because I suck. And to give it a fair chance, that ground up there. Oh, getting a stool. day. Ugh. Let me just remind you before you look at this that I am not a welder. I play one on YouTube, but I'm not a welder. So, actually started off good, but then I started going too fast. So. Definitely had some heat in that bottom plate. It's all kinds of blue. So that's what the side that had the mill scale still on it. But it has the advantage of a little preheating because I was welding the other side. So we'll see. Now I've got to do a swap over to the other welder. Clamp directly to there, just like the last one. Recording again, so now we're doing the Tweco. Its settings, according to the chart, exactly according to the chart, 205 inches per minute and 17.2 volts arc force, or inductance to 10. Do the same thing, we'll start with the clean side. Move to the dirty side. I'll probably get this welded, and then I'll have to do the actual cut and etch tomorrow. It's getting late and I need to get home here. But almost falling off. Well, as you can hear, that runs a lot smoother. That's the 141's first weld, clean side. That's the side with the mill scale, 141 weld. Now, set these side by side and get shots of both. This is the first side we did. The Flux 125's version and the Tweco version, the 141i. And if we come around to the other side, it's going to be a little harder to see because the light, that's the Flux 125's version. This is the side with the mill scale, and this is the Tweco 141i's version. It'll be interesting to see how they turn out. Alright, so I apologize, this isn't coming out very well. My methods for etching are pretty crude. This is the Harbor Freight. And you can see a straight line would be down through here. Well, let's see if I can. I have to have this at a weird angle to get the lighting right so you can see it, but a straight line would be about here on the vertical. So it did get in penetration about that far. On the horizontal, it's not much, but it is, I don't know, 0.5 millimeter down. This end got rounded off when I was polishing, so the vertical is actually about here. So it's got a little bit, you can see it there, it's just barely down. Didn't do real well getting into the root there, but it did. That is the clean side. The mill scale side, oops, shoot, I just moved it. On the mill scale side, same story. Vertical would be clear over here. There's a serious lack right here, and that could have been my welding skill. I may not have been getting it the angle right. I may have had too much heat into the side, trying to get it through that mill scale and not enough there. It's really hard to make out, but it did get a little bit of penetration on there. It's just not a whole lot.
but it is bonded. See if I can point out about where that corner is. Right about there. So you can see it did not get completely in there. And this is just one cut off of one pass. Could have been as much my skill, but you know, it is running AC, which means it's only getting the proper heat into that part of the time. So even though it's running 90 to 100 amps at the settings I had it at, you're talking about a sine wave. So you're only getting the peak voltage and the peak amperage part of the time. That 90 to 100 is an average. So part of the time it's crossing through 0 volts. There's really no amperage going into the part. The other part of the time, you know, and half the cycle is DC electrode positive instead of electrode negative like the wire's designed for. So it's never going to be quite as efficient as a DC welder, but for what you pay for it, it works, and it will stick stuff together pretty well. And like I said, I kind of screwed up. That's right at the edge of where I kind of started going a little too fast on that one, so maybe that's... 141's etch came out a little clearer. So this again is the clean side, no mill scale. You can see some defects in there, but it did get, if you look at a vertical line, that would be hard to do here. It'll be right about there. So we've got very little, but good at the base here, good through there, a little bit at the root, not too great. On the mill scale side, where I was concentrating a lot better, actually did quite well. There's a little bit of some defects right in there, but it really penetrated really good through the whole thing, because the vertical line would be somewhere in about here, and somewhere, I'll continue out through there, about in there. So the corner should be right about where that point is, and it did get through there.
Alright, so what did we learn? Basically, we learned that either one of them is perfectly acceptable for 1/8 inch material for the home hobbyist. If you know how to use it, even remotely well, it'll do the job. I enjoy welding with the Tweco more than the Harbor Freight. It's got a smoother arc when you're in there with the flux core. That's strictly because of the DC, I'm sure. It's a little hotter. So yeah, I mean, I enjoy welding with the Tweco more, but I would have no problem doing the same stuff I do with flux core on my fabricator. I would have no problem doing the same stuff I do on that with the Chicago Electric. You just take your time and pay attention to what you're doing, like you should be doing anytime you weld, and it'll do the job for you. So far, so good. I'm impressed with this little unit. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Thanks.